Hey guys, Marsing here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so I am, of course, one of the people, you guys know me. I feel like it's one of the things I'm kind of known for, at least on Twitter and stuff at the moment, is I'm still flying the flag for the heroes hype. And we got to keep that hype going. You know, the celebration is probably, still a little under 2 weeks away at this point. And, you know, trying to keep the hype going. I did a video not long ago talking about what I would like to see from the 4 awakenings that we're going to get during this celebration. Super Saiyan 4 Gohan and Bardock, and then Robel and Supreme Kai of Time. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But a couple of people in the comments and over on Twitter did ask me to do a similar video for the EZA'S that we are going to get this year. Now, people have posted an image around, people have been talking about it for a while. We essentially know the units that are going to EZA because they are essentially the second batch of Heroes units that released, right? The ones that EZA'd last year were the original batch of Heroes units that released on JP. Now, I've double checked the release date of some of the units because at first when I was putting the list together, I was a little bit confused because when you look at the TURs, there are a couple of units that seem like they released before the ones that we're going to talk about, but it's because the ones that are going to EZA this year, the original unit, the SSR, came out and then obviously got an awakening later, whereas some of the units like Great Saiyaman 3, for example, he came out and got an awakening straight away. So even though he got his awakening before some of the units in this video, he got his awakening the day he came out, whereas the SSR for the units in this video came out like the year before him. So every single one of these units came out on the 21st of November 2018, which as far as I'm aware is the second Heroes banner that JP ever got. So we're going to go through all of them. I'm not going to do super long, super detailed breakdowns, because obviously, as I talked about in the Awakenings video, I mean, we could just go ham and just be like, oh yeah, every single EZA, this unit should have infinitely stacking attack and defense, guard, damage reduction, etc, etc. So all I really want to focus on, like I did for the Awakenings video, is just looking at the unit's kit as it is now, and then thinking about how we could expand on that without just giving them every single, you know, new ability under the sun. And just build off of their base kit, because the EZAs from the Hero Celebration last year were really good. Some of them are still usable now, especially the ones that have 200% leads, and we've experienced a bit more power creep since the last Hero Celebration, quite significantly with the release of 200% leads and the red zone and stuff like that. So I am expecting some of these EZAs to definitely be very, very strong. So straight away, let's jump in. We've got the one, I feel like this one's probably the least hype out of all of them. This is the Super Mirror. So SDR Super Mirror, he's on a few limited categories outside. Obviously everybody's on like crossover Dragon Ball Heroes, most of them are on Time Travelers, but he's on Artificial Lifeforms and Androids. He is on Resurrected Warriors and Revenge, a couple of teams that need like some extra units. He is a unit, his main role is that he's an infinite defensive stacking unit. And the thing that is good about him is that he greatly raises defense with each stack. So in the difficult content now, he does start off with defense that is a little bit too low, and even having greatly raised defense when your defense is not particularly high, then obviously each stack is not necessarily giving you a crazy amount. So when we look at his actual stats, you can see he already starts off with less defense than attack. I feel like these can just be bumped up, right? Like attack and defense could easily just both be like 120% or whatever, because remember, these are EZAs, so they're going to get extra stats by getting the level 140. In terms of the super attack effect, I don't think he necessarily needs to have anything. Like obviously, as I said at the beginning, we're not just going to give every single unit raises attack and defense and all that kind of stuff. I could see him benefiting from having raising attack, even if he raised attack for like 1 turn or something, because obviously you would want to build this guy for additionals so you can stack as much as possible. So something like raises attack for 1 turn could be pretty good, I guess. And then he disables enemies' guard, which pretty useless ability unless you're fighting an AGL enemy, so you can still do some damage. He lowers the attacked enemy's attack and defense for 2 turns, which realistically is only useful for Super Battle Road and a couple of like the first phases of some of the red zones. And then he gets an additional 50% attack and a high chance to crit when the attacked enemy is in attack down status. I feel like if they change this to attack down or defense down, whilst it would still be not usable against some of the more difficult bosses, there are still a few events and bosses where you can lower defense but not lower attack. So that would at least give him that little bit of extra utility. And by having that high chance to crit online in his kit, then all the more reason why you just go full additional on his hidden potential build to get as many of those stacks on his defense as possible. And then he's potentially going to be critting on the super attacks. So next up we have this guy. I've talked about him quite a bit. If you follow me on Twitter, I've made tweets about him. I made a video not long ago, I think, of him on the 200% lead. Basically talking about the fact that I honestly do think this unit could be, after his EZA, the best EZA TUR in the game, even better than STR Cooler. And the reason for that is, looking at his base kit, he has guaranteed guard, which is something they don't really give out all that much anymore. And then he has damage reduction based on the Dragon Ball Heroes allies on the team, up to 35%. So 35% damage reduction plus guard is obviously very, very good. So nowadays, against some of the harder bosses, he is starting to take a bit too much damage. But you have to bear in mind, again, with his EZA, he's going to get EZA stats. We can put the attack and defense in his passive up to at least 120, maybe 150. And then his super attack effect, he has a high chance to stun. I don't see necessarily the need to increase that. But he's a unit that, I wouldn't give him infinite stacking. I think that would make him too broken. But they could quite easily give him, like, raise attack and defense for one turn. Obviously, greatly raise would be nice. But again, like I said, I don't want to go all out and make these guys super broken. So because he's already very good defensively, I think something like raise attack and defense for one turn on Super would be pretty good. But remember, he does have a counterpart with the Vegeta, who is more of an offense-based unit. So kind of like I talked about with the Bardock and the Gohan, one thing I could see them doing as the super attack effect, we could give Goku infinitely stacking attack and then just have like raises defense for one turn. And then the Vegeta could have infinitely stacking defense and raises attack for one turn. Because he already greatly raises attack for one turn here. So if they added infinite defense stacking, that would be pretty good. But going back to this guy, damage reduction 7% per hero's ally. Because it's a Goku, I think I said the same thing about Gohan. They could increase this to like 9% or 10% or something like that, up to 59%, because obviously they love to throw 59 into Goku's kits all the time, so that would be pretty good. I mean, guard and 59% damage reduction with EZA stats would already make him one of the better tanks in the game. But we don't like, as much as I love heroes, we don't like the units being restricted only to the Dragon Ball Heroes team, or at least with Dragon Ball Heroes allies. Now, there are a lot of Super Saiyan 3 Heroes units, so that's not so bad. But I feel like if they changed, well, I say changed, Dragon Ball Heroes is definitely going to stay, right? But category ally, throw in like Power Beyond Super Saiyan, or even if they just made it Super Saiyan 3, just to help out that team a little bit, because I'm thinking about units like Super Saiyan 3 Bardock with his EZA on JP. He needs a Power Beyond Super Saiyan ally to get his guaranteed additional super. Imagine if they added Power Beyond Super Saiyan allies to this Goku instead. So then on all of those like gods and Super Saiyan 3 like teams, he's gonna, like, the rotation of him and Bardock would be insane if that was if they added Power Beyond Super Saiyan, because Dragon Ball Heroes a little bit too limited, unfortunately. But I do think this guy has a very good chance of being one of the best EZA TURs in the game, as long as they don't mess it up horribly. So, and then moving on to Vegeta, like I say, he greatly raises attack for one turn, so giving him some sort of defense, like infinite stacking defense, I think would be very good for him. Because he gets attack and defense 100%, disables enemies' guard. He gets an additional attack and defense and chance to crit per hero's ally. So this is another one of those clear examples where they brought out a Goku and a Vegeta, just like God Goku and God Vegeta, and they made the Goku so much better because he's got guaranteed guard, or in this guy disables guard, and then Goku gets damage reduction and this guy gets crit chance. So obviously, as soon as content starts to become more difficult, this Vegeta has been pretty unusable for quite a while. So keep the crit chance, again, add the Power Beyond Super Saiyan allies to that as well. And then, yeah, his main focus definitely needs to be that he needs more defense. So even if we don't go for infinite stacking, he should greatly raise attack and defense. Obviously bump up the stats in his passive. He does get the extra attack and defense up to 35% per ally on the team. So whilst they're not going to put that up to 59 because he's not a Goku, they could still do it, right, just to match the Goku card. Otherwise, they could just put it up to 50 rather than 35, or maybe even 60 if they wanted to feel a bit more spicy. Or just focus on the defense, right? So the attack buff could only go up to 35, but the defense could go up to like 70 or something like that. The major thing that this guy needs is more defense. And as I've said in recent videos, I don't mind if a unit isn't that great defensively, as long as they're really, really good offensively. So they just need to find a good balance, right? We don't want to go into like, you know, considering that event is going to be almost a year old by the time the Hero Celebration comes out. We don't want to be taking him into Red Zone Broly and taking like 100k from normal attacks, right? We want him to still be able to do good damage, but even if he's like tanking the hardest Red Zone bosses, even if he's still taking like 50k from normals, to me that's fine as long as he's putting out like 10 million plus attack stats. You know, he's got built-in chance to crit, so he needs a little bit of extra defense, but he could definitely be a very hard-hitting unit. Next up we have the Demon Demigra. Now this is a unit that I'm very interested in him getting a good EZA, because aside from big bad bosses, which he doesn't have, he shares every single link with Mechikabura, who is one of the units that came out last year. And honestly, like, I've tested him out against Red Zone bosses, and Mechikabura is absolutely still usable in the current meta, even on a 170 lead. Except for the fact that he just doesn't have any good link partners. Like in the tests that I did, I was having to link him up with units that were not particularly great just to see how well he would perform, and then the unit that he was linked with would be the one that gets you killed. So if they make this guy really, really good, I feel like that rotation is actually going to go hard, because they're both on Realm of Gods as well as like Time Travelers heroes. So they could be very, very strong. I think Mechikabura's on storied figures as well, actually. So this guy, when he came out, people were talking about him as like being a little sort of like a mini Rose, because he gives extreme class allies 3 key and 30% defense. So easily we could put this up to attack and defense, potentially even more than 30%, but don't need to be greedy, but the attack would be nice as well. All enemies attack and defense minus 20, so just passively lowering the enemy's stats. Good for things like Super Battle Road. And then he gets an additional attack 10% per crossover ally on the team. So all they need to do is make it additional attack and defense. And then again, they could choose if they wanted to change to add another one to crossover. Maybe even add like Realm of Gods, right? For the extreme Realm of Gods team with the Zamasus and Goku Blacks and stuff like that. Because then him and the Mechikabura rotation would be viable on that team as well. Or just add something like Time Travel. Just add a secondary one. Because crossover is at least better than Heroes, because it's a bit of a wider net. But definitely add another one in there. And then he greatly raises attack for 1 turn. So again, greatly raise attack and defense I think would be fine. We don't need to give every unit infinite stacking, but give him greatly raise attack and defense. And then yeah, I think he's going to be looking very, very good. Now, I would love it if they did some crazy tech for him and made him a really good slot 1 unit, because Mechikabura is a nuker. And whilst he does have decent start of turn stats, he's obviously much better defensively after he super attacks. So it would be nice if his link partner was a good slot 1 unit. But just going by like the skeleton of this guy's kit, I wouldn't expect him to suddenly get some crazy tech that makes him good in slot 1. Imagine if they did give him like the pan thing or something, where he has like 50% damage reduction until he attacks, or something like that, just so that they have literally designed him to be used with Mechikabura. I think that would be pretty cool. But as a support unit, I could definitely see this guy being made good enough that you want to run him on extreme teams. So definitely looking forward to that. Next up, we have Supreme Kai of Time. So this is a unit that I think could become a must run on all of her teams as a support unit, which I think she kind of was when she first came out. She massively raises defense for 1 turn on Super, which is a 100% defense raise. So as long as her like start of turn defense is decent, bearing in mind you're most likely only ever going to be using her as a slot 3 support unit, she's only ever really going to be getting attacked after she supers, unless we're doing an event that has like AoE attacks, right? So she gives all allies attack and defense 30% and a chance to crit 12%. She has a 70% chance of giving an additional 12% attack and then a 70% chance of giving an additional 12% defense to all allies. Now, this is one of the reasons why she has aged quite badly, is obviously from her passive. You can see she does not give herself any attack and defense. So obviously we need to throw that in there. With the massively raising on Super, I don't imagine they would make it too high. But even like attack and defense 100%, because she's going to be an EZA TUR and get that extra stat boost anyway, I think that would be fine. And then when it comes to her support, I'm not a huge fan of like the chance to get extra support, as long as the support that she gives guaranteed is fine, then I don't think it matters too much. Imagine if they gave her, because we have 50% support units in the game, right? So make her support 35%, and then make the great chances both 15%. So if they do go off, she's giving 50% support. Make the crit chance support 15% as well, why not? And then, yeah, she's just going to end up being, you know, not crazy. She's not going to be doing tons of damage. She's not going to be, like, you know, tanking Cell Max's super attack. But on any team, because she supports all allies, it's not just super types. It's not just Realm of Gods. So then, yeah, she's going to end up being a unit that you can run on any of her teams. And in slot 3 post-super, she's going to have very good defense. Maybe throw in, if they want to give her some new tech. I don't know if they... unit passives are getting long now, but I feel like the more different things a unit has in their passive, the less likely they are to get new tech. So because she has these chances of getting additional buffs, I don't know if they would give her anything else, but something for her that would be nice to fulfill her role just as a support unit is maybe throw in some like a built-in dodge, right? Would be quite good. And then her defense post-super is going to be good anyway, right? So definitely could be a must-run on all of her teams, which will be good for like Realm of Gods and Potara and Defenders of Justice as well. So very good. And then we have our boys, the 2 masked Saiyans. So this guy has actually still aged somewhat well. In most of the Red Zone stage videos that I've been able to beat with the Heroes team, I've used this guy for most of them. So he does immense damage and lowers attack and defense. And then he has very basic attack and defense 100%. He gets an additional defense 100% for 5 turns after receiving an attack. And then he has guard when there's another hero's ally in the same turn. And then he recovers damage dealt as HP. So straight away, as we've said with many of the other units, throw another category on there instead of just heroes. Maybe Corroded Body and Mind. That's a team that could use some extra help. You could do Vegeta family, maybe even Time Travelers. Pure Saiyans would be insane, right? If they made it just Pure Saiyan ally or Heroes ally, then I feel like he would find a lot of, he would find space on a lot of teams where you only need to have one Pure Saiyan unit on rotation with him and then he has guard. I think that would be really good. And then, yeah, units that get the buff after they take the first hit, it can be a little bit annoying, but as long as they've got good enough stats to start with, I think it's fine. Like, imagine if he had attack and defense 150% and then gets an additional 150% defense after receiving an attack. The first one is still maybe going to be a bit scary, but he does have guard, and then once he gets that first hit, like, his defense will be really, really high, and then he has guard to back it up. And then, of course, recovers damage dealt as HP. We can put that up to 15%. I mean, I think the free-to-play physical metal cooler does either 15 or 20% if you pick up his additional rainbow orb, so I don't think that's too high. Now, in the past, they have been scared of giving these units that heal really powerful, like EZA'S or Awakenings, but I feel like this guy could be really good. Just defensively, he's going to be solid, and then if he's actually able to be healing you a decent amount of HP, then again, I feel like he's a unit that will be a must-run on like any of his teams, as long as they fix this issue where he's only guarding with a hero's ally. And then finally, we get to the Black Mask Saiyan, which obviously is Vegeta. He does immense damage to enemy, lowers attack and defense. He got attack and defense 160 when key is 6 or more, key plus 2 when key is 10 or more, and then he gets an additional 60% attack and medium chance to crit when there are another 3 or more crossover allies on the team. So he's going to follow a similar sort of design, I think, to the Dark Mask King. So again, if we're saying Pure Saiyans, just throw Pure Saiyans on there. Another 3 Pure Saiyans allies on the team. Very easy to do if you're going to use them on Pure Saiyan or Vegeta family. They could make it Corroded Body and Mind, because that team does need a little bit of help, because all of the Timebreaker mask characters are on there, and we will potentially get more in the future. But I think, like, if they did Pure Saiyans, then he would actually be very good. And then other than that, his kit is just very basic. Just bump up all of his stats. Give him, like, raises attack and defense, or even just defense for 1 turn on super. And then he's going to be one of those units that is very much just like solid stats, which those units don't age the best, right? When they don't have any tech like damage reduction or guard, because even units that hit 1,000,000 defense but don't have any defensive tech will still take a lot of damage from like the Metal Cooler Core Cell Max, for example. But I don't know if they're going to necessarily throw anything like that into his kit. He already has crit chance built in. We could bump that up to high chance quite easily, and that wouldn't be too OP, right? Just to 50%. Or he is a unit that I think you could give him, because I said we wouldn't do it for every single unit, but I feel like you could give him infinitely stacking attack and defense, and then he would be pretty cool. Because with the built-in chance to crit, as long as you're meeting the allies requirement, you would go full additional in his hidden potential anyway. And I do like the fact it's easy. You only need to get 10 key for him to super, because when he's at 10 key, he gets 2 extra key anyway. So this guy has one of the more basic, like, base kits, but they definitely could give him something to make him really, really powerful. And then obviously running him next to the Dark Mask King, that rotation will be incredibly strong. So those are my thoughts about the 7 units that are going to EZA this year with the Hero Celebration. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what your ideas would be for their EZAs. Which one are you most looking forward to? Which one do you think needs the most help? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.